I don't have any notes. I just sort of finished the book and then wanted to talk about it, so this is probably gonna be really rambly, but we'll see how it goes. Hello lovely people, my name is Nicole and today I want to talk about A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. If you don't know what this is about, it is the sequel to A Darker Shade of Magic, which if you haven't picked that one up, it is about this guy named Kel who lives in Red London, which is a version of London that has some magic, and he is able to travel between worlds. So he can go to Grey London, which is basically our world in like the 1800s, I think, or White London, which is a different version of London that has even more magic and is kind of like bleak and desolate and kind of scary. And he is sort of the communicator, messenger between worlds, so he carries messages from the various royal families. And then one day he picks up this girl in Grey London who has sort of a pirate, badass kind of vibe, and they go on adventures and it's fun stuff. Great book. And this is the sequel. So if you haven't read A Dark Shade of Magic, go read that right now. If you have read A Dark Shade of Magic but haven't read A Gathering of Shadows, this one picks up about 4 months after A Darker Shade of Magic ends and is sort of all the characters dealing with some of the ramifications of what happened in the first book and some of just new adventures given new circumstances. So for spoiler-free stuff, I loved this. I don't know if I can say I loved it more than the first book just because I really loved the first book. I feel like I loved them equally. We got a lot of just like pure Lila awesomeness that was absolutely fantastic, and we got so much more Rye, which makes me so happy because Rye is my favorite character. All the like character development we got I think was really good. There were some fantastic just like holy shit moments, and then of course as always V.E. Schwab's writing is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm so excited. I'm meeting her on March 1st. She's coming to a signing in Seattle and I am so excited. This was amazing. I don't know what else I can say other than just I was constantly engaged. I was constantly page turning. It was the kind of thing that like every once in a while I'd have to stop and like go to class, but it was so hard to stop and pay attention to class because I legitimately like could not focus on anything the professor was saying in any of my classes. I couldn't stop thinking about this goddamn book. At no point did I ever feel like I was sort of getting bored with one of the points of view, and there wasn't a point of view that I found less exciting or less interesting or just generally liked the least. There were some new characters introduced in this who I love. Everything about this book was perfect. I gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely incredible. I cannot wait for the next one. So I'm going to go into more depth now. If you have not read it, go pick it up. If you can't tell, I kind of liked it just a bit. Go read it right now. I'm about to go into the more spoileries, so if you don't want to hear that, leave, go read it, come back later, and then we can talk. Alright, so jumping right into spoilery stuff, let's start at the end. Goddamn cliffhanger. When I read that, I started making like very upset noises. I think I may have scared my roommates just because I was like stuttering and like kind of trying not to scream and like bouncing around trying to like get out the like nervous, upset energy just because, oh my god, that was torture. And yes, and thank you V.E. Schwab for going 9 books without giving us a cliffhanger, but damn, this was a bitch. Out of all the sort of plot lines that were going on, I think I was least engaged in the Holland White London plotline. There were a couple times where I kind of forgot that it was going on because I was so engaged in the other ones. That's not to say I didn't like it. I think just because there were less characters in that world that I'm emotionally attached to, I just wasn't constantly needing to go back to it. Although there were so many moments where I was just completely freaking out, like yelling at Holland in my mind. And this new character, I want to say Ojka? I don't really know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry, I tried my best. But I thought she was really interesting. I kind of feel bad for Holland. He spent his whole life being basically mind controlled by the twins. And then he gets free and he's so excited, and then he immediately gets like under the control, kind of, but like basically under the control of this other like super creepy, powerful, dark being. It's like, guy can't catch a break. And I really want to see how Holland is when he's just Holland in his own free will, being Holland. Like, I don't think he's like the best of guys, but I don't think he's nearly as just like straight up evil as he is in this or in A Darker Shade of Magic. I don't know. Holland's one of those very interesting, really complex morality characters that V.E. Schwab loves to play with. You see it a lot in Vicious. Then, of course, we have the other plotline of Lila off sailing the seas, being a pirate, being amazing. Can we talk about that opening scene and how we start off thinking, oh shit, Lila's gotten herself into some trouble, and then no, it's just Lila Bard being a badass, as always. She was so badass. There were a number of times where I got very frustrated with her just because Lila tends to be kind of stubborn and not like to have anyone's help, which is frustrating when she's doing things like burning herself out on magic. Lila's magic, by the way, holy shit, where did that come from? I want to know more about Lila and where she came from, who she is and what she is. Like, holy shit. She's amazing. Her fighting in that tournament was absolutely insane. One of the moments that I was particularly frustrated with Lila was when she would not listen to anyone, especially Cal, about advice on how to use her magic and how to take care of herself while using her magic so that it doesn't just like absolutely destroy her. Because it was so clear that it was so difficult for her to keep all this up because she was using such insane amounts of magic. It was clear that she was hurting and that she was struggling, that she just didn't want to listen to anyone, even people who clearly know more about it than she does. Also, when Kel was trying to communicate to her, you really like cannot continue in the tournament, there will be a demasking, you will be found out, and she's just like, nah, I'll be fine, don't worry about it. It's like, honey, I love you. Maybe stop to listen to someone else's advice. Maybe just once. Just once, honey. But while she was on the ship, I loved Lila's interactions with the crew and with Alucard. Alucard, though, I love him. He is so funny, so great. I love his dynamic with Lila. I think my favorite part is when at one point they're talking and she makes some joke about him seducing her to try and get information. And he's like, wow, are you really gonna hold that against me forever? And she just turns to him and she's like, that was last night. V.E. Schwab is so good at writing every type of scene. She can write the sweet emotional scenes and the funny scenes and the awesome action scenes. The tournament scenes were so cool. Seeing the actual elemental magic in action was incredible because we didn't really see a ton of that in the previous book. We mostly saw Kel using his blood magic, which we didn't see a ton of in this one, which is interesting that it's sort of focused on a different kind of magic. I will say that I was constantly just on my toes waiting for that Kel and Lila reunion. They got so close so many times and they just passed by each other and it was so frustrating, but when they finally had their moment, oh, it was so satisfying. So satisfying. Going into this, I was not a Kel and Lila shipper. I was kind of like, I think they're really good as friends, but I may have kind of changed my tune. I do think that Lila needs to do a little bit of maturing. First, she tends to be very stubborn. I think she needs to get herself together. I mean, let's be real, Kel does too. But like, I think they both need to get themselves together before they can deal with being together as a couple. But once they do, it's gonna be amazing. And then Kel's plotline in the palace. I love Kel, and I loved that most of Kel's plotline was focused on his relationship with Rye because, like I said, Rye is my favorite character. Loved seeing more of Rye in this book. He just makes me happy, and it just makes me so happy to see him. Although there were a number of moments when I just wanted to like reach inside the book and give him a hug. Poor baby, he's so hard on himself in this book. I think my favorite moments of Rye and Kel were just when they were really just showing how well they knew each other and how close they were and like reminiscing about their childhood and seeing the sort of frustration in both of them that Kel was treated so badly by their parents. It broke my heart. Seeing Rye deal with the emotional ramifications of everything that happened in the last book, I just want to hug him and make sure he's okay. I also really enjoyed seeing Master Tyrion all throughout this, just sort of sighing and shaking his head at everyone around him. Cause like, he sees Kel and Lila just doing stupid kind of reckless things and he tries to stop them. He's like, guys, don't do that. That's a bad idea. You'll get hurt. And they're like, no, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be awesome and it's gonna be brave and it's gonna be so cool. And he's just like, guys, no, seriously, just stop. Fine, I guess I'll make sure if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it safely. Ugh. He was like their grumpy babysitter and it was adorable. And then Alucard and Rye's relationship, oh, I kind of saw it coming a little bit. It was the kind of thing where it was made clear fairly early on that something had happened between Rye and Alucard, and as we got closer, I was kind of trying to think of what could have happened, especially something that would have clearly pissed off Kel more than Rye, and I was thinking, ex-lover maybe? I was right. But I really liked that, and I really like how protective Kel got over Rye. That was absolutely adorable. I just really like Alucard. I think he's funny and charming and he makes me smile. And I don't know all the details of what happened between him and Rye. I'm kind of rooting for them to figure things out. That's just me. We'll see. I don't know. All the moments with Holland were so just like on the edge of my seat. Holy shit, what is going on? What are you doing? Stop. Don't do that. Oh my god, no. Made me so nervous. Like, it was a good kind of nervous. It was the, like, anticipation what's gonna happen next. Also, a little bit of the, no, honey, no, don't do this. Choose the light. Choose good. Don't hurt people. That kind of thing. But I think the most just like, oh shit moment that I had was when we first saw the collar and he put it on Ashka, I think her name is. I can never remember that name, I'm sorry. She was like, who's that for? And he's like, an old friend, and I'm just like, shit, Kel, run. I'm just really nervous about what's gonna happen in the next book. I just want to like put all my babies in a protective bubble and keep them safe from any potential harm. I don't know if you could tell, I kind of liked the book, just a bit, maybe. It's really good. This has quickly become one of my all-time favorite series. V.E. Schwab is absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to read her next books. She has This Savage Song coming out later this year, and then we know that at some point later on we get the third book in this series. I think it's planning on being a trilogy, I think. And then we're getting a sequel to Vicious, and we're getting the third book in the archived series. I'm just excited. There's so much going on with her and there's so many new books coming out. I love her writing. I will read anything she writes. At this point, she's definitely one of my auto-buy authors. Like I said, 5 out of 5 stars. Please, if you've read this, let me know what you think in the comments. I love you and I will see you later.